Hey Anthony, do you like my new shirt?
Sure, man. It's cool. Could have been better.
What was that?
I said it could have been better.
You want to fight about
Yeah, I
it?
do. Let's go, chump. Hold on a second. We don't need to fight.
We don't?
All you need to do is go to 86.com and choose from one of their many designs. Franchises range from Skullgirls to Street Fighter and even BlazBlue. And if you check out 86 through this Twitch channel, use 86.com /AFF equals 4 to let them know that Mission Star Podcast sent you. All right, guys, and onward to our next segment in the podcast is no other than Greg Dietz going to give us his spiel on this week's news, or what he brings to the table.
So over the past, year, give or take, there have been how many controversies would you guys say involving over Borderlands 3?
A good number.
About as many as there are guns in Borderlands 3.
Fair enough. My issue isn't necessarily that there are controversies. What the fuck ever. I personally don't care. I just want to play the goddamn game, which I have been, which we'll get to later. My issue is that I was talking to my neighbor about, because I sometimes go back there, smoke a little weed, and we talk about gaming.
I mean, you would never smoke weed.
I live in California. Well, that's the thing. Alex. Is now that we're not live on Twitch, I'm not worried about it.
I want to be worried about it either, even on Twitch.
Yeah.
TOS can't touch us here. Ha ha.
Fuck you, Amazon.
But anyway, so one of the things he said to me, which I thought was really funny, was that all the critics love Borderlands 3, but all the fans hate it. And I was like, I don't know where the fuck you're seeing this. And he goes, well, look at like Metacritic, or look at all these other websites that take all the reviews, the fan reviews. And I was like, okay, first off, that's review bombing. Well, how do you know? Because they literally planned this shit on certain sites like Reddit. That the moment it goes live, it turns into like, oh well, we need to go there and drop its reviews.
Teach them a lesson. Damn you, AAA title studios.
My thing here is it's less about the idea that review bombing is a thing, and more like that people need to understand that it's a thing, and that if you're going to a certain website to look at user reviews of something that has some controversy behind it, it's going to get review bombed.
Even if it doesn't have controversy, there's a good chance.
That's true. I mean, like there's some things that get post review bombed, like Last Jedi.
Yeah.
I just find it so needless that there's people out there that don't know this is a thing. That I had to tell my neighbor that it's a thing. I had to tell him, like, when you go to these websites and you see a super low score like that in the user area, and the number of reviews is exceedingly high compared to everything else that happens, like, yeah, that's a problem. There was nothing involving like controversy with Gears 5. And the number of user reviews for that game is like 200, 250. But the number of user reviews for Borderlands 3 is like 2,000. Both are AAA title games. Clearly, there's something there. Like, clearly, if you're paying attention, there's something there. And I know that's the key part if you're paying attention. I find it so weird that there's people out there that don't know that review bombing is a thing, or that would defend review bombers. That's another, like, what the fuck?
I can see a time and place for review bombing and defending it, but they are very few and far between, and it's usually when the game itself has earned that, not because of some business decision they made.
I would like an example on that, because I can't
No Man's
think of
Sky
a...
launch.
Say that again?
No Man's Sky launch. The game was absolutely nothing what they were promising. I can understand a review bomb, but at that point, I don't know if you would classify it as a review bomb, because
I was gonna say
justifiable backlash.
Yeah, justifiable backlash to me is not a review bomb.
But you know that most of the media industry or the actual developers themselves would view it as review bombing.
Fair. And this is less towards them and more towards people who just enjoy things like
us talking about it. It wasn't review bombing. Them looking at it, oh, that's uncalled for and it's review bombing. Yeah, it's that fine line.
Yeah. And I get how frustrating it would be for Hello Games in that scenario, because they did work on the game very hard, but obviously there was a lot of bullshit involved that caused that to be a problem. I don't know if you know all the little details there, Alex, but
I don't know all of them. All I know is that I got the game expecting one thing and went, nope, fuck this, refund me.
So, short version, I can't think of the guy who's the head of Hello Games, Sean Murray. He publicly came out after the game came out and said, look, here's what the problem is. I was ambitious. I promised things that we did want in the game, that we were working on, but unfortunately, due to the fact we made a deal with Sony, we had a due date that we had to put the game out, and we couldn't meet those expectations. And as a promise to the people who bought the game, we are working on updates to have the stuff in the game that we did promise for free. They were absolutely 100% for free. So
in other words, the dev basically came out and said, hey, I opened my fat mouth when I shouldn't have.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
As long as we're all agreed on, he needs to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, he admitted it. He said, I learned my lesson. This is, the first major title that I've ever had to work on in this fashion. And I thought, going out into, situations like with the Game Awards or other things like that, and talk about all these things that are going to be in the game, when even the guys working on the game are like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, when the guys working on the games are like, well, God, dude, we can't do that in time. What the fuck are you doing? Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
Yep, absolutely.
But yeah, for however you feel about Borderlands, there's absolutely no point in fucking review bombing it. Because here's two things. People are going to buy it regardless. People are always going to purchase it regardless. You're not ultimately doing anything. You might stop a person from buying the game because it looks like it's hated by the fans or what the fuck ever.
I'm not even sure how much power review bombing really has now that we have Twitch and Mixer and all that.
Right.
Honestly,
That's true. That's very true.
Well, because honestly, I won't buy the game because I'm going to buy it on PC when I buy it, but I will not buy the game yet. Why won't I buy the game yet? Because I don't believe that a AAA studio should be doing a timed exclusive like they did. So I'm voting with my wallet and saying, no, fuck off, I'm not buying your game yet. That being said, I do have buddies that have been streaming it on Twitch, and yes, I have been watching them stream it. And the game looks great. It looks like exactly what I want to play, and it's tempting as fuck to just be like, fuck it, I'm just going to buy it anyways. But I'm not.
I am going to later in the podcast give my impression on the game, since I'm 16 hours into it, 16, 17 hours into it. It's not without its problems, but I feel like a lot of those problems are excusable, and not excusable, but
understandable.
I wouldn't go understandable either.
It's more
I don't know which problems we're talking about, so.
Well, the stuff that I'm seeing isn't a massive detriment to the game. That's the point I'm getting at. So, but we'll get there later. Yeah, just like this, I go into the whole thing of like, if you're on the internet and you have internet outrage and you go like, let's review bomb a thing, let's boycott a thing, you don't have the effect that you think you have.
No,
that's ultimately what I'm getting at.
Yeah. We've seen this time and time again. We've seen people, quote unquote, boycott Left 4 Dead 2 because it came out way too soon or way too early, because Left 4 Dead 1 was not too long ago it was released, or any other online petition or any other thing that people will come together to boycott, and it has not worked because A, said game is very popular, and B, it's going to sell a lot of copies regardless of what happens.
Also, C, really, you're going to try and boycott a Valve game? Are you retarded? Like, come on, people! Really, what the fuck?
I think one of the ones that, I kind of talked about this in the past. It's slightly off topic, but there's a reason I'm mentioning it. Comedy has always been a thing for me that people don't get, and I don't mean that in the way of like, oh, you're too stupid to understand the nuance of the comedy. No, what I mean is like, recently, I'll just talk about very, very recently here. A comedian was hired on SNL as a writer. And people are pissed off because somebody scrounged up a video of him on a podcast a year ago saying the derogatory term for Chinese people. And I'm saying that vaguely intentionally because if I ever get hired for SNL.
We're planning deep into the future here, folks.
Yep. Very deep. Very deep.
Like, not to laugh at what you want to do, but we're really pulling here.
Well, I don't know what I'm doing in a year. I don't know what I'm doing 2 years from now, so I don't
I'm going to look into my crystal ball real quick and say probably not SNL.
I mean, you're not wrong. That was half of the joke. That was half of the joke there, but yes. But no, so he got hired for SNL, and people found that he said this joke on his on the podcast that he was on. Now, in context to the joke, what he was doing, what him and his friend were doing, was making fun of racist people for being so ridiculously racist that they can't stand Chinese architecture for their restaurants. That was the joke.
That's a whole new level of racism.
Right. That's why it was meant to be funny. Now, did I find the joke funny? It doesn't fucking matter. It really doesn't matter if I found the joke funny. It doesn't matter if anyone found the joke funny. The point is it was a joke. It wasn't meant to be actually racist. And but all these people on Twitter are up in arms about it, and they want him immediately fired for saying this thing. And I always go back to this idea that I remember when Dogma came out and people were protesting it in front of the theater. I remember when every year that South Park has an episode or a new season.
Every week that South Park has an episode, let's be honest at this point.
Right. I mean, back in the day, it was more that it's a cartoon and they're saying cuss words or they're doing, raunchy humor. And nowadays it's like, people just don't get the satire. Like, that's ultimately what that is.
Integrity Farms.
Fucking. But one thing that I learned recently that I thought was heard recently that I thought was really interesting was there's a guy on Twitter named Crip Daddy, and Crip Daddy he has cerebral palsy. He's bound to like a motorized chair. And
so Crip as in crippled?
Yes.
I love that guy. He's my new friend.
Well, his story is really good. So he talks about how back when he just got out of high school, he started his comedic Twitter career. And you can go find him talking about this on Twitter, by the way. So if you're just like, Greg, shut the fuck up, I want to hear it myself, go ahead. But I'm going to tell it anyway. He talks about that he told the joke on Twitter. And the joke goes that a man walks past the shop and he sees a sign outside that says hand jobs $10, burgers $5. So he goes inside and he sees the woman behind the counter and he says, "Are you the woman that gives hand jobs?" And she says, "I sure am." And he goes, "Well, you better go wash your hands because I'm hankering for a burger." Now, when he told this joke, which I genuinely like the joke.
It's a good joke. It's a good joke.
It's a good joke. His high school like English teacher got really upset with him and emailed him and said, "You need to apologize for the joke. It was in poor taste. It was in bad spirit." Like just kind of giving him a ration of shit for making a joke, and it really pissed him off. He was like, It's none of your fucking business what jokes I make," and it really got to him. But then a wise person told him that everything comes back to people, that justice will find its way back to people. And so he kind of calmed down a little bit, and upon making the video, he went and found the guy on Facebook, and sure enough, the guy has cancer now.
Oh, fuck.
Get wrecked.
So
God has spoken. He liked my joke more.
so in the context of the story that he's telling, the comedy there is the extreme, right? It's that's where the funny lies. But people were legit pissed off at him even for that story. Like, you shouldn't make fun of cancer stuff. It's like, no, comedy is so versatile. You can make a joke about anything. If you don't personally find it funny, fine. Walk away from it. Let it be. This is the same shit when it comes to fucking like boycotting and review bombing. You're not doing anything. You're just causing more like attention to it. That's all you're doing. When you get mad at a comedian, when you get mad at Dave Chappelle for making his jokes, guess what's happening? He's getting more views on Netflix.
Yeah,
when you
get mad at
PewDiePie,
hilarious.
I still need to watch it.
It's gold. And he actually directly goes to what the point that you're making right now. He like speaks to it directly.
Oh wow, okay,
Cool.
But I'll say, yeah, when you sit there and you go like, PewDiePie is a racist on Twitter, guess what people do? They go to his fucking channel. If you want people to stop paying attention to a thing, you need to stop paying attention to that thing. Like, if you're really pissed off at Borderlands 3, if you're really pissed off at Gearbox and Randy Pitchford and 2K games, what then why are you giving it attention? Period. I don't know why I'm doing a why you're wrong like right now. But.
I don't know, but apparently he fucking took it over, so whatever. It's okay, guys. There's gonna be another one later.
Yeah.
Yeah, there will be.
You get twofer.
Anyway, this has gone on long enough. We should move on.
All right. Well, you heard the man.